Why don't we move on to Succession? Number one boys. We talked about Succession's first episode, and Succession season one at the top of our end of year list last year. Just a real delight, a show that I think took a couple episodes to catch its stride, but once it did, it was just boom, 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 episode that was everybody was talking about. And that it seemed to reach another level this year. Season one seemed to be like, oh, this show's pretty interesting. There's a lot here. I think this can become something. And season two was like, okay, this is excellent television. This is something that's riveting. It's something people talk about. It's memeable. It hit basically everything you need for a television show to really become super uber popular. And I think it did, because pretty much Sunday nights when this show was on, all I saw was people on Twitter talking about this. And obviously Twitter is not necessarily a gauge for what's really popular, but I think the discussion around this show is evidence enough of how good it is. How did you feel about season two?
Oh yeah, I love season two. I think it was a clear step up for a show that already was so great. And season one we thought was under-nominated at the Emmys last month, still won for writing for Jesse Armstrong. Fully expecting season two, with Thrones now gone, Veep now gone, expecting Succession to be HBO's golden goose at the Emmys.
The number one boy.
The number one boy. A lot of noms are coming for this show, and for good reason, because as you said, it kind of has the whole package. It's really funny. You can watch this show for the jokes, for the memes. No context Succession, phenomenal account. Yep. Would follow. But what I like most about the show, I think the strongest aspect of the show, is ultimately the drama, the writing, and the plot mechanics, because it's so fulfilling, because it continues to just pay off of the journey we've been on since season one. It's just all these people, which are all varying degrees of shitty, deplorable, and their relationships with each other and how generally badly they treat each other is just riveting stuff constantly. Yeah. And when there are moments of cringe or anxiety on the show, you really feel that shit. And season two just had episode after episode, set piece after set piece that you just like can't look away from, right? Yep. I'm just thinking of like Turnhaven, when we meet the Pierce family. I have that dinner scene.
Yep.
Later on, our Jestys at that like retreat scene, a retreat setting for all the business people.
Yep.
Later on, DC, where Tom is getting roasted alive in front of Congress. There's just so much here. And then we get Holly Hunter as Rhea Jarrell just coming in and just being another awesome presence on the show. There's just so much to like, and I really love where most of the characters got. There's definitely a big Shiv season. I think she was the biggest winner in terms of just like using screen time, getting a lot of it and all that. But a lot of Roman progression this season. Yes. Obviously, after the finale, a lot look forward to with Kendall, and even Tom, I think, is changing as well. And shout out the Con heads with Connor. Phenomenal stuff, man.
You didn't even mention Greg, who went from basically homeless at the beginning of the season to having like a super nice apartment.
He's a boss now.
Yeah, he played a major role in the attempt to take Logan down that Kendall is trying to execute here, cutting off the head, so to speak. Yeah, for a show that it really boils down to the characters in the room. And I saw a tweet where it said Succession, what it does is it proves that if the writing is there, all you need for a television show to be interesting is good dialogue and characters in a room together. And it's true. Like, this show embodies that, and pretty much all it is people in a room. I think the only episode I can think about where that wasn't the case was where Kendall was stuck on Long Island trying to get back to undercut Logan and take control of the company in season one. Constantly, this is just people sitting around talking, trying to make deals, trying to backstab each other, figure shit out. It's incredibly riveting. But they also go to such interesting destinations and
Oh
are in
yeah.
such interesting situations that you talk about. I mean, you mentioned Turnhaven, you mentioned Argestes. Is that yeah?
Yep.
Argestes. But even like the Summer Palace to start the season off, with the 3 raccoons stuffed up the chimney.
Oh right. Forgot.
And the last episode is on this huge yacht in Greece. Like
Right.
it's always really interesting, really beautiful. And you talk about all these characters stepping up. Shiv, obviously, I agree, is the MVP just in terms of how much she's leveled up and how much her will she, won't she become the CEO or the successor for Logan drove a lot of the plot. But I found Roman's character development to be by far the most interesting, because not only do you see him exploring like his issues with Jerry in a very sick and sadistic way, but then at the end of the season, you actually see him like talking about his like desire to like have real relationships with his siblings and be able to be vulnerable with them. And you see him wanting to be protective of Kendall when they talk about how he's going to take the hit, be the scolded
Right.
sacrifice. It's really, really cool. And then, of course, you talk about Tom, who is basically a very passive person, and then finally stands up to Shiv at the end and is pretty open. And then I guess also kind of stands up to Logan by eating his chicken. I'm not sure what that was going for, but really, really just
he ate my chicken.
Just awesome stuff overall. Any like moments, shots, lines that really stand out to you?
Oh man, God, I mean, the show is a quote machine in general. We know they do lots of takes, they shoot lots of coverage, fair amount of improv. But I mean, yeah, Rome for sure has lots of cutting ass lines, usually just fucking breaking people down. But even like, I'm trying to think, like something like the shit like that Tom or Kendall would say to Greg, just like offhand, because they're used to being rich, unlike Greg. There's just so much funny shit, and I think what's good about the show is it never forgets to show you that these people are obnoxiously wealthy and don't know what it's like to be a real person. And a lot of times this comes out in the dialogue, which makes for really funny or intriguing conversation,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's the thing they do so well, is you still care about these characters even though they are all pieces of shit. I mean, Shiv, who probably is the most redeemable out of them all,
right,
tampered with a witness this season and pretty much convinced a victim of sexual abuse to not come forward. I mean, pretty evil shit. And
yeah,
you still
she also picked her dad over her husband.
Yep.
Which I guess kind of tracks given how she's treated Tom to this point. But I mean, going in, I think just people just trying to theorize like what is this plot of this show going to be. Season 1's all about Kendall trying to depose Logan. Is season 2 going to be about maybe someone else stepping up to do that, perhaps Shiv or Roman, right? And even though this was a big Shiv season, by the finale, it's back to Kendall. And Logan was so integral to season 2, truly a main character. He's not incapacitated for any of this, right? And I actually like really enjoyed Brian Cox's his presence on the show and in terms of how he affects everything. But the fact that they really upended everything by the end of the finale with Kendall truly and Greg just truly breaking off from the rest of the Royce and lighting a fire under them, knowing we have this fear of Kendall committing vehicular manslaughter at the end of season 1 in Logan's back pocket to be used in this moment. Now we know the show has truly progressed and gotten to a new point, and that's exciting. And you mentioned how it's been appointment viewing the past 2 months in terms of people actually watching it week to week. And now they've found a way somehow to build incredible anticipation for the third season. It's truly masterful.
Yeah, I have to imagine it's going to take a leap forward, but at least in time, I had a couple months. But do you buy the theory that Shiv was in on this with Kendall?
There are lots of signs of Shiv and Kendall discussing things, and Shiv doesn't trust Logan after he basically strung her along for the CEO position, right? And used Rhea to kind of humiliate her. And we know that Kendall and Shiv have connected about this, but I'm not sure if that was just about Rhea's presence and not so much as big a picture with Logan. So I don't know. It's really compelling though. If there is some kind of this more like Shiv's the inside man for Kendall, that would be fascinating. But she doesn't know. She doesn't know about the manslaughter, So it would be great if that was the case.
Yeah, because there's that scene at the beginning of the season where Kendall comes up to Shiv and just basically says like, "Just take care of me," like moving forward, like pretty much like breaks down to her, and she's like, "What the hell's going on?" And I can imagine from there might have been this like unspoken agreement between them, maybe even blatantly spoken behind closed doors. But it would be cool to have something like that have gone on. I'm not sure if I totally buy it, only because this is a show where they've done a lot of showing, and this, the season finale is the first time they kind of didn't show all their cards until like the last moment. Kendall obviously had this up his sleeve, and as you kind of discuss, like you can kind of see some of these things playing out in the last episode and coming to fruition. But I think the sleight of hand that they kind of pulled with the last scene leads me to believe that there probably isn't more, because if so, I think then it becomes like, how many back deals are we not seeing in the show? And that, right. I think that gets into shaky ground. So, and the rating's too good to do something like that too. Real quick before we wrap up on this, I want to shout out Arian Moayed, plays Stewie. He's great. Every time I see Stewie, he's a welcome presence, whether he's cleansing his palate with lavender or just sick burning Kendall over and over. I mean, just some ridiculous shit, but great presence on the show.
I also really enjoy Naomi Pierce.
Yeah.
Good foil, or actually not a foil, good companion to Kendall when she was around. Yeah, a lot of good guests, and we'll probably hopefully get more Stewie in season 3. He really was not in this season too much.